Unaware, he was actually Harold Bennett, retired father of the company's CEO. The man who had just dumped a bucket of ice water over his head, laughing as if it were the funniest prank in the world, had no idea they were sealing their own fate. Harold, known to them only as Henry Carter, the quiet, aging night shift cleaner, blinked the cold droplets from his eyes and forced a tight smile. He had learned early in this undercover mission that reacting only made it worse. When longtime contractor Luis Mercado had first warned Rochelle Bennett about the toxic culture festering in her tech empire, she had been skeptical. The company, Bennett Innovations, was her pride and joy, a cutting-edge software firm that had skyrocketed to success under her leadership. She had built it on principles of respect, innovation, and integrity. How could such cruelty exist beneath her nose? But Luis, a trusted facilities manager who had worked with the company since its early days, had been adamant. It's not just harmless jokes, Rochelle, Luis had told her, his voice low with frustration. Asterisk, it's systemic. The cleaning staff, the interns, the junior employees, they're treated like dirt. And the worst part? The higher-ups encourage it. They think it's funny. Asterisk, Rochelle had wanted proof. She couldn't, asterisk wouldn't asterisk, act on hearsay. That was when Harold, her father, had stepped in, a self-made businessman who had built his own manufacturing empire from scratch before retiring. He knew how easily a company's culture could rot from the inside. He had seen it before. Arrogant executives who thought themselves untouchable, middle managers who bullied those beneath them to feel powerful, a workplace where cruelty was disguised as team bonding. "Let me handle this," Harold had said. Asterisk, if what Luis says is true, they'll never show their true colors to you, but they'll show them to janitor. Asterisk, and so Henry Carter was born, a mild-mannered, gray-haired cleaner who kept his head down and never complained. Harold had spent weeks blending in, observing, documenting. He wore a cheap, ill-fitting uniform, carried a mop and bucket like a prop, and made sure his posture was slightly stooped, reinforcing the illusion of a man who had spent his life in thankless labor. The cruelty started small at first. Snide comments about his speed. Deliberately spilled coffee on freshly mopped floors. Then came the pranks. Hiding his cleaning supplies, setting his car on wheels so it rolled away when he wasn't looking. Harold took it all in stride, nodding politely, never letting his true emotions show. But then he met Sophia Roas. Sophia was a young cleaner, barely 20, working nights to pay her way through community college. She was quiet, diligent, and, unlike Harold, unable to hide her hurt when the abuse came. Brett Carlson, a mid-level manager with a reputation for being a hard-ass, seemed to take particular pleasure in tormenting her. "Hey, Roas, you missed a spot," Brett would sneer, dragging his muddy shoes across the floor she had just cleaned. Asterisk, what? Did they not teach you how to mop in whatever third-world country you're from? Asterisk, Sophia would flinch but say nothing, her cheeks burning with humiliation. Harold watched, his blood boiling as Brett and his cronies laughed. He began documenting everything, secretly recording conversations, taking time-stamped photos of the vandalized workspaces, even saving security footage that showed the worst offenses. The breaking point came one night when Harold walked in on Brett and two other executives, Jason Ellis and Mark Denton, cornering Sophia near the supply closet. They had taken her phone and were tossing it back and forth above her head while she begged for it back, her voice shaking. Asterisk, come on, Roas, jump for it. Asterisk, Brett taunted. Asterisk, maybe if you work a little harder, you'll actually deserve that paycheck. Asterisk, Harold had seen enough. He stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. Asterisk, give her the phone back. Asterisk, the men froze, then burst into laughter. Asterisk, oh, look, Carter's got a hero complex. Asterisk, Jason jeered. Mark, grinning, walked over and poured his half-finished latte over Harold's head. Asterisk there, now you've got something to clean up. Asterisk, the sticky liquid dripped down Harold's face, but his expression never changed. He simply pulled a handkerchief from his pocket and wiped his eyes. Sophia stared at him, horrified, but Harold gave her the slightest nod. Asterisk, it's okay. Asterisk. The next morning, Rochelle Bennett called an emergency all-hands meeting. The employees filed in, murmuring in confusion. Brett, Jason, and Mark lounged in their seats, smirking, assuming it was just another boring corporate update. Then Rochelle stepped onto the stage, her face unreadable. "Some of you may have noticed that we've had a new janitor these past few weeks," she began, her voice cool. Asterisk Henry Carter. Asterisk. A few snickers rippled through the crowd. Brett leaned over to whisper something to Mark, both of them grinning. "Except," Rochelle continued, asterisk, "his name isn't Henry Carter." Asterisk. She tapped a button on her laptop, and the screens around the room lit up with security footage. Brett dumping coffee on the floor, Jason laughing as he tripped a young intern, Mark calling a female employee a stupid bitch for daring to correct him in a meeting. The room fell dead silent. Then, the final clip played, Brett, Jason, and Mark tormenting Sophia, Harold stepping in, Mark pouring the latte over his head. The camera zoomed in on Harold's face as he wiped the liquid away, his eyes sharp with quiet fury. "For those of you who don't recognize him," Rochelle said, asterisk, "this is my father, Harold Bennett." Asterisk. The blood drained from Brett's face. Jason's mouth fell open. Mark looked like he was about to be sick. Rochelle didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. Asterisk. You were given every opportunity to act with decency. Instead, you chose cruelty. And now you're fired. Effective immediately. Asterisk. Security was already moving toward the three men, escorting them out as the rest of the company watched in stunned silence. Then, Rochelle turned to the cleaning staff, Sophia, Luis, and the others who had endured the abuse for so long. Asterisk, from now on, this company will be better. And if anyone has a problem with that, they can join Brett, Jason, and Mark in the unemployment line. Asterisk. As the meeting adjourned, Harold finally shed his Henry Carter persona, standing tall beside his daughter. Sophia approached him, her eyes wide. Asterisk. You were undercover? Asterisk. Harold smiled. Asterisk. Someone had to make sure the right people paid for what they did. Asterisk. And as the news spread to the company, one thing became clear. No one would ever underestimate the janitor again. In the weeks that followed, Rochelle implemented sweeping changes. Mandatory respect training. Anonymous reporting systems. Promotions for employees who had been overlooked due to office politics. The culture shifted almost overnight, not out of fear, but out of genuine accountability. Brett, Jason, and Mark, now blacklisted in the industry, tried to spin the story, claiming they were the victims of an overreaction. But Harold's recordings had already leaked online, and the court of public opinion was merciless. Sophia, no longer afraid to speak up, was offered a paid internship in the IT department. Luis was promoted to head of facilities, with a direct line to Rochelle. And Harold? He returned to retirement, but not before leaving one final note on the break room whiteboard. Asterisk, remember, everyone deserves respect, even the janitor. Asterisk, the message stayed up for years. No one dared to erase it. In the weeks following the very public termination of Brett Carlson, Jason Ellis, and Mark Denton, Bennett Systems Group underwent a metamorphosis. The company that had once thrived on cutthroat competition and tolerated casual cruelty now hummed with something unfamiliar: hope. Rochelle Bennett moved swiftly, implementing reforms that went far beyond superficial damage control. The anonymous reporting system, dubbed Voice Line, became the most utilized internal tool within its first 48 hours. Employees who had spent years swallowing their frustrations finally had an outlet, and to their shock, someone was listening. Harold, no longer disguised as Henry Carter, made it his mission to ensure the changes stuck. He moved through the office now not as a janitor, but as a silent guardian, watching, listening. His presence alone served as a reminder. The walls had ears, and cruelty would no longer be ignored. Sophia Roas, the young cleaner who had borne the brunt of Brett's abuse, found herself in an unexpected position, a symbol of the company's transformation. Rochelle, recognizing her potential, didn't just offer her an internship in IT. She assigned her a mentor, Lena Cho, the VP of Engineering, who had once been the only woman in a room of scoffing male executives. At first, Sophia hesitated. "I don't even have a degree yet," she confessed to Harold over coffee in the newly renovated break room. No longer a place of whisper anxieties, but of actual breaks. Harold stirred his coffee, the steam curling toward his face. Neither did I when I started my first business. You know what matters more than a degree, kid? Knowing how to survive the wolves. And you've already done that. By the end of the month, Sophia wasn't just shadowing Lena, she was contributing. She spotted a critical flaw in a client project security protocol, a mistake the senior engineers had overlooked. When Lena brought it up in the next executive meeting, she made sure to credit Sophia by name. The room erupted in applause. Sophia, sitting in the back, face burning, realized something. She belonged here. Not everyone embraced the changes. A faction of mid-level managers, those who had once benefited from the old regime, grumbled in private Slack channels. "This is ridiculous," one wrote. "Now we have to walk on eggshells because some janitor got his feelings hurt." The message was screenshotted. Within an hour, Rochelle summoned the sender, Danielle Pratt, a 10-year veteran of the sales team, into her office. The meeting lasted 7 minutes. Danielle left pale-faced, carrying a cardboard box. The message was clear. Bennett Systems Group was no longer playing games. What started as an internal reckoning soon spilled into broader tech world. A Business Insider article titled "The Janitor Who Exposed a Tech Giant's Toxic Culture" went viral. Harold, despite his reluctance, became an overnight symbol of corporate accountability. Requests for interviews poured in, but he declined them all, except one, 60 Minutes. In the interview, Harold sat across from a seasoned journalist, his hands folded calmly. "I didn't do this for fame," he said. "I did it because my daughter asked for help, and because people like Sophia deserve better." When the journalist pressed him on whether he thought other companies would follow suit, Harold smiled. "They will now." He was right. Within weeks, 3 major competitors announced their own anti-bullying initiatives. A Silicon Valley investor publicly pulled funding from a startup after leaked emails revealed its CEO mocking Harold's sentimental nonsense. The tide was turning. The real test came when Brett Carlson filed a wrongful termination lawsuit. "I was fired over a joke," he claimed in the press. "This is political correctness gone mad." His lawsuit threatened to undo everything. If he won, it would send a message that companies couldn't hold bullies accountable. Worse, it would embolden others to resist change. Rochelle didn't flinch. She handed the case to Bennett Systems Group's legal team, along with one instruction: burn him to the ground. The trial lasted 3 days. Brett's lawyers argued that his behavior was industry standard banter. The defense played Harold's recordings. They called Sophia to stand. When she spoke, her voice didn't shake. "It wasn't a joke to me." The jury deliberated for 20 minutes. Brett lost. Spectacularly, a year later, Bennett Systems Group wasn't just profitable, it was flourishing. Employee retention had skyrocketed. Recruitment was easier than ever, with top talent citing the company's culture as the deciding factor. At the annual leadership summit, Rochelle took the stage, Harold sitting in the front row. "A year ago, we were just another tech company," she said. "Today, we're proof that decency and success aren't just compatible. They're inseparable." As the applause thundered through the room, Harold allowed himself a small, satisfied smile. Sophia graduated with honors and joined Bennett Systems Group full-time. Luis Mercado was promoted to Director of Workplace Culture, overseeing ethics training across all departments. And Harold? Well, let's just say retirement didn't stick. Rumor has it he's consulting now, helping other companies clean up their acts permanently. As Rochelle and Harold sat on the sunset patio, their quiet satisfaction spoke volumes. The clinking of ice in their glasses mixed with the distant hum of the office building behind them, now alive with a different energy than before. The real victory wasn't just in removing toxic individuals, but in proving that respect had to weave through every level of an organization, from the boardroom to the break room. Their story became a testament to a simple but powerful truth. A company's character isn't defined by its polished mission statements, but by how it treats those presumed to be invisible: the cleaners, the interns, the quiet voices in the corner. Years later, new hires would pause in the lobby, their eyes drawn to the framed janitor's uniform displayed beside a plaque that read, "Dignity starts here." Some would whisper, Is that really the founder's father? Others, who knew the full story, would smile and nod. Sophia, now a team lead, sometimes stopped to explain it to wide-eyed newcomers. This isn't just a uniform, she'd say. It's a reminder that at Bennett Systems, no one is overlooked. And in that moment, under the glow of the lobby lights, the message was clear. Everyone mattered. Not because a policy demanded it, but because the people who shaped this company had lived it.